So I think for one of the things that I wanted to ask you guys about, because I think this is kind of important for some of the junior engineers that watch the show, junior
Mhm.
devs who are trying to figure out, well, where is my career going to go? And what kind of things should I be concentrating on? So what are the differences in skill sets that you two have that kind of makes you the engineering manager and you the product manager? Where do the skill sets diverge there, you think?
I mean, I talked about how I'm rusty at coding, but like technically I can write code. I can write back end code. I do manage the front end team. So I am managing a set of developers where I don't understand the code that they're writing, but I understand enough of their workflow and I understand like their commit messages and whatnot. And I understand their tooling because, we're very heavy into GitHub that I'm able to manage them um, effectively. But I've been a product manager in the past, and so I have an opinion on why I can't be product now. But I'll let Josh go next.
Yeah, so I think it's different. Obviously, yeah, I can't write code. I I can read it with a low level of confidence. Like all like Brittany's used to this of like I'll go look at something, look at an API for like something we want to integrate with, and I'll be like, I think this is how we would do it, or this is what we want to do, or this is possible. So that's like the extent of my ability to interact with code. Um, but then it's a lot more of the like understanding the customer, putting yourself in the customer's shoes, um, taking the business stuff into account. Like I'll think of stuff and be like, that just seems really expensive, or like I wouldn't buy that, or like that's not compelling. Like I have no experience in marketing, but I'm like, we can't sell this. Like there's nothing compelling about this feature. Like why would we do that? So I go very broad and I kind of check in with different departments. I'm like, does this make sense? Like, does my thinking line up here? A lot of times they say, no, it's actually this way. And then I can take that back into my, like, I'm not gonna call it calculation, but whatever's going on between my ears and I'm trying to write down. Um, and then, yeah, come back to engineering with a different thing than we thought we even would have ever done.
Yeah, I think I struggle with the fact that my first answer to everything is no, and Josh's first answer is let me look into it. There's definitely a difference there because I'm so defensive about the engineer's time that sometimes I struggle with the enthusiasm of like a really great product idea and being like, this is an amazing idea. Like this is going to be making such a huge difference. Like, what can we clean off the deck in order to make this happen? So like I kind of rely on Josh to bring that like enthusiasm from the go-to-market team to engineering.
And I think that's kind of an important point too, and that seems to be a common thread through most of these type of team environments where you've got a product manager side and you've got an engineering side. The engineering manager tends to be very protective of the engineering time, and the product manager tends to be very protective of the customer's wants. And sometimes that can cause some conflict, and that's kind of where I think where the meat of this show happens is that's where the differences in syntax and priorities of what you guys do can sometimes not align correctly. So how do you work that stuff? Can you think of times when, I mean, you don't have to give very specific examples, but times where you haven't been able to see eye to eye, and how do you work that?
Well, that's a good question. Let's break some NDAs that we haven't signed, Josh. Um, I mean, there's definitely been circumstances where, so this is something that we've been struggling with this week, that I've had to rely on Josh to help me with. And that's, I have the majority of the developers working on features. Like in an ideal world, that's what's happening, right? You have your engineers allocated, they're working on roadmap items, you're good. And then you have a couple noisy customers that are important to you, raise the alarm that they need to have this, like to them, the bug that they see means that the app is unusable to them. So like, what do you do as the engineering manager in terms of, do you bargain with product to say, hey, um, I want to put this roadmap item down. You tell me, like, is this customer more important than this roadmap item? And so that's something that I haven't figured out and I'm still trying to work on.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat. I haven't figured out either because like I'm selfish of like what I want to see built, but then like I also just have to take into account like, oh no, like they pay us a lot of money every month. Like this is like this is a big problem to them, and then it's a big problem to us. Like we have a company value about like customer centric, and like you have to go back and remember that. And I think that's the part where the product manager is closer to the customer and that need, and trying to be sympathetic there and have that understanding. But then yeah, like also being selfish as being like, no, we need this feature done. Like, yeah.
There is circumstances where I do try to scam Josh. I want to be super clear about that. I definitely try to scam Josh. This is my number one scam. So we will kick off a project. We'll go over all the requirements. We'll generate the stories. So our developers write their own stories. So we'll come up with the story titles. They write their own stories, which is, I think, kind of unique for that the developers write their own stories versus product having to sit there and meticulously write them all out. And then I will miss a story. And then I'll tell Josh, oh, we'll do that in a later phase. And then he and I will argue whether or not that's going to happen or not. So I think the struggle for us is I'm always trying to get that MVP lower and lower. And I also struggle with the fact I'm not a big bang person. I don't like to like create this like massive feature and then just release it all once. But I get the marketing does. Like they want the press release, they want the big shout. But to me, I want to slowly trickle my stuff out. I want to see if I'm getting any errors logged, like, so I struggle a little bit because I feel like product agrees with me, but they also have the stakeholders of sales, marketing, customer support that wants to see it go out all at once with it like very well documented and polished. But me, I just kind of want to get it out there just to, slowly trickle it out and see how it does. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
If you like this clip and want to watch another one, you can click right here. Or if you want to watch the full video, you can click here.